Yan. No other than Senator Jòey Lina, the host of the forum.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Let me welcome you to this MATA SA BALOTA Media Forum, circa 2019. May I ask Doc Mike to really invite our guests, resource persons this morning.
This morning, friends from media, we are very lucky to have with us a group of independent research and survey marketing organization. Ang pangalan po nila is Tangere, no?
Yes.
And this is based on Rizal's novel, Nole Me Tangere.
Tama, sir.
So, di ba, touch me na? Parang.
Tama po.
So, wala na Nole Me Tangere, so Tangere na lang.
Touch lang po.
Touch na lang. So, this morning, they're gonna touch your heart because they're gonna talk about something that is dear to our heart, no? The question of elections, no? But I would like to invite the officers of Tangere to come up, no? We have, siguro, ang gagawin na lang natin is, sige. We will call them by one. We have the marketing and research, the statistician of the group, so to speak, si Marlene. And we have there the president, si Martin. Can we ask and
Can we ask first the total name of the outfit that you're representing this morning?
Good morning po, Martin Penaflor. The legal name of our company is Acquisation Apps Incorporated. We are based in Celis, Quezon City.
Acquisition
Acquisition Apps
Incorporated.
Incorporated. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and your full name is Martin
Martin Xavier Penaflor. I'm the
Xavier
sir.
Penaflor.
Yeah po.
Oh.
I'm the chief architect of the company that's based in Celis, Quezon City. So what we do is we do market research for our customers using our application called Tangere. Tangere galing po siya, sabi ni Doc Mike, it came from the novel of Dr. Rizal. Because it's a play on words. To vote using our application, you need to touch the app, swipe left, swipe right, and also we're touching lives because it's an incentivized mobile application. All of our respondents can earn points whenever they use the app, and then the points can be used to redeem items and win with your app.
Martin.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Martin. And the lady, the statistician, please
I'm
introduce
Marlene.
yourself again.
Marlene Mendoza, Vianzon, sir. I'm the Market Research Director of Tangere.
And Doc Mike said you're a statistician,
From the UP Diliman School of
the
Statistics.
School of
Statistics.
Statistics. Okay. Based on the media advisory prepared by Doc Mike, we're going to talk about certain perceptions here. How do the people perceive this May 13 election in terms of it being honest and credible, with the Comelec and Smartmatic being the major actors in ensuring an honest and credible election? Do we have that kind of survey or study, how the people perceive this May 13th election?
Right, sir. We did an independent study last week. It was last week for around 2,500 respondents using our application. We asked them 10 sentiment questions, and then we'll be presenting the results today. So it's in our slide that we'll be presenting this morning.
Sen,
Was this a commissioned survey, Martin?
It's an independent study. It was done of our free will. So we focus mostly on the private sector for the small and medium enterprises. Itong public sector, because it's an election, we feel that it's our advocacy to reach out, to ask questions that are related to this election. That includes the Smartmatic.
Okay, so you said there are 10 sentiment, you call it sentiment questions?
Yes.
Okay, so, okay, Doc Mike, you were about to
Yes.
ask something.
Before the presentation, let me just answer that this group, in a way, is quite unique from the ordinary surveying firms that we have here. No? First, they are innovative and they maximize technology to the fullest at this point in time. They use the basic methodology of what surveys is all about, and they added the latest technology in analyzing things. I'm referring about data analytics or big data analytics. And this group is using the system of the best worldwide, the best data analytics system provider. Their group is using that. No? So, and this will not be the first study that they're gonna make, no? And hanggang sa election, as a matter of fact, hindi ko i-preempt yan, but they will announce follow-up studies later on. Then. So, can we ask then the chief architect of
Is that the formal title? Chief Architect? Incorporation code, it's president or...
Yeah, it's in the SEC it's president, but I prefer the role architect.
Okay, so that's your brand. Not president, but as chief architect. Okay, we'll take it as is, no? All right, maybe after the presentation, we can ask a question. I'm sure our members, our friends from the media will be interested in finding out the sentiments of our people with regard to this May 13 election. Will the May 13 election be honest and credible? Will the results really reflect an honest and credible election? Okay, we'll start with that and ask questions later. How will you arrive at certain observations or conclusions?
All right, sir.
Okay, thank you.
okay, we start the presentation. Yeah, maybe.
We're just waiting for one of our guys to handle the.
Operate that now. So, again,
Marlene Monroe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, confirmation lang, Mark, no? This will be the first of a series of ongoing survey on this election, this 2019 election. You have other surveys ongoing or planned?
We have an ongoing party list survey right now. So what we're doing this week is we presented the advocacy of all party lists, and then we presented the representatives of each party list. So it's ongoing right now. It's in our application. Last week we did a Senate survey, all 62 senatorials. The difference there is we presented the background of each senatorials, the platform. Instead of relying on the brand of each senatorials, we presented his advocacy, achievement. Then we had our users vote whether they trust it, they are aware of this candidate, and whether they will vote for it. So in relation to HALIS elections, so our data is in real time. We can immediately commission a survey next week. Then the results, you can immediately have it as soon as Monday the following week.
So, shall we?
Yeah. I'm sure the findings or observations will lead us to ask questions on the methodology, how you arrive at it. No? How did you arrive at those findings or conclusions or observations?
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
So Ms. Marlene will be helping me explain the results later on. But before we proceed with the results, a brief overview of what our company does.
Yes.
Why we started the company. As I mentioned earlier, the name of the application came from the book of Dr. Rizal. Another reason why we started the company is I'm an advocate of World Vision. So with the company, we can help out more people using the application. Kasi for example, most of our respondents are in the B2E market. Whenever they win like 500 pesos in our weekly raffles and our promos, ang laking bagay sa ano. They call me Boss Martin. Boss Martin, thank you, may panggatas na yung anak ko, may pamalengke na. It's really, masarap po yung feeling nun. So that's one of the reasons why we started. And then for Miss Marlene.
Marlene, can we ask you to take a seat? Sir, can you transfer first so that Marlene can take a seat? Para makita yung screen.
Can we proceed to the next slide? So the problem that we're trying to solve is based on our research, the cost of a traditional market research here in the Philippines, whether it's in the public sector, whether it's in the private sector, it's 1,300. That's the average rate per respondent. So imagine if you're aiming at 2,000 respondents, how much would the survey cost? So I've been blessed to be a consultant for small and medium enterprises for more than a decade already. And I know how great their products are, but in terms of spending on billions on market research, I would rather spend it on new stores, new products, new production lines. So that's what we want to solve. We want to give them the same advantages that can only be afforded before by large enterprises. So for the solution is we developed this application called Tangere. It provides market research in real time. It's credible because of the large number of respondents. We adhere to statistical procedures. We have data scientists and statisticians on board. So they're the ones who create our programs for our customers. And as Doc Mike said earlier, we invested on the Rolls Royce of data analytics. So aside from the real-time data in the application, we can do a deep dive analysis based on the results of our survey. Let's say, for example, you're a candidate. You wanted to know who voted for you for a certain city. For example, who voted for you for Bacoor, Cavite? We can have that data. What's the age group of your voters who voted for you or against you? What's their socioeconomic status? All of those data can be seen in our data analytics.
Of course, it's all sampling, no?
Yes, sir.
There are 60 million voters. Okay, let's go to brass tacks. 60 million voters. Is that the recent number being announced by the Comelec? 60 million voters. All right. So, what is the sample size of this population that you got? The others, they only use 1,002 or 1,003 sample for a population of 60 million voters. In your case, what is the sample size?
Our sample size, for our community, we call them the Tangere community. So we have around 40 to 50,000 members of our community. For that community, our sample size is around 2,500 weekly. So all of our weekly surveys, we get around 2,500 from our community. So that's representative of those members of our community, sir.
When you say, that's why I don't want to ask about the methodology. Let's find out first what are your initial findings.
Yes, sir.
Based on your survey, and then we will look into the methodology that is very peculiar to you. I respect innovation, inventions, applications. Okay, that's understandable. We can follow that, data analytics and all. But can you present to us what are your findings, and then we'll ask you about the methodology.
Sure.
How did you arrive at
So
this?
after the presentation about their companies, they can proceed with
Actually, that's the last slide already. Ms. Marlene, if we can open the other PowerPoint presentation.
So you're doing this on a commercial basis, no? You have clients market, who requires market research on their product, like for example, restaurants, car companies, whatever it is. No? So they need analytics like this so that they can be guided to more or less pursue what is best for their products and their companies. So this is an application on business, on commercial scale, but you also do opinion surveys basically using the same technology and all these things. No? So you started with the business process, you have clients, mga negosyante, mga restaurant, mga kung ano-ano, but the process that you're doing, ganun rin basically ang ginagawa natin. Now, you have done an opinion survey based on the credibility and trustworthiness of Smartmatic and Comelec. That is what Senator Lina is now asking. No? So, siguro, after the introduction of who you are, what your company is all about, we can now present what your findings, this survey of which you have 2,500 sample population you did, no? Survey, and you asked 10 questions to reflect and probably to answer. The general question is, nagtitiwala pa ba ang tao sa Comelec or sa Smartmatic to conduct a credible and clean election this coming May 13, 2019 midterm election? So siguro, after introducing yourself, let's already go directly to your findings, no? To the survey that you did a week ago, so that our friends from the media, our friends from GMA, from ABS-CBN, and the rest of the guys here can ask directly questions for you, and maybe you can explain some more.
Alright, so as you can see in the screen, that's the profile of the participants that were included in our sentiment analysis last week regarding the clean and honest elections. So, in terms of the gender, it's 41% male, 59% female. You can see in the screen the breakdown of the demographics in terms of the civil status, in terms of single, for the married guys with children. And the most important thing here will be whether they are registered voters or not. So 88% of those who responded last week were registered voters. And then in terms of the socioeconomic status, this is representative of what we have now in the Philippines. So 80% of them are from the D2E market. The rest are from the A, B, and C market. So those are the profile of our participants last week. Alright, for the executive summary, this was prepared by our market research director, si Ms. Marlene.
This summary can be taken as parang ito na yung conclusion of result. Findings.
That's the findings.
What can this be? Right. This is based on the 2,500 respondents that you surveyed, and the 10 questions, sentiment questions that was told to them to answer. This is your findings, basically.
So, in terms of the general findings, 2 out of 3 participants of the survey, which is representative of our Tangere community of around 40 to 50,000 people, they feel that there's widespread cheating in the national elections. That's the result of our survey that we did last week. And they said that part of the questions that we asked is, they said that corrupt officials can easily bribe Comelec. That's the result of our respondents.
That's 65%.
Around that range, sir. Yeah.
2 out of 3.
Yes, sir. In terms of statistical findings, it's 64 to 68%.
What's
Ano margin of error? Ano margin of error dito sa how many percent?
Yeah, maybe you can join us already, Ms. Marlene.
Na-preempt ko kayo, ah. Sorry.
Yeah, Sorry, will that
Okay, this is just because of this is just based on our community, right? And the total number of respondents actually went down to 1,820 because some of the respondents out of the 2,500 were not able to finish the questions. So we just focus on those who were able to complete the entire questionnaire. That's 1,820. So if we're talking about margin of error, normally we just get around 1,000, right? So this is almost double. Yeah. But having said that, still, we're focusing on high results, meaning if it's the majority already, most likely that's the pulse of the public, right? Okay.
Thank you. Sorry for the
No, it's
question.
okay, it's okay.
Please go ahead and finish the summary, Mark.
All right.
We would like to welcome the President of the National Press Club here with us, Lakay Rolly. Thank you for coming.
Morning, sir. There's a question here, the second result. Majority still of our respondents trust Comelec. So we had a few questions raised here on why they still trust Comelec, even though they said that there's widespread cheating. So, for example, is this a functionality of the limited understanding of the issues? So those questions is, the good thing about our application is we can raise a follow-up survey next week, for example, and ask our respondents in terms of your knowledge of what happened as 2016, 2013. We can gauge their knowledge to answer those lingering questions. And this one is big. 8 out of 10 respondents said that they feel that foreign entities handling our elections is against the Constitution. They prefer Filipinos to handle the automated elections.
Mark, for what? Foreign entities, meaning siguro hindi lahat ng Pilipino nakakaalam that Smartmatic is not a Filipino corporation. Smartmatic is a Venezuelan company, basically, that was given by government, particularly Comelec, the contract to do this automated election. The system that is being used in this automated election is that of Smartmatic, basically. So the question that you're saying there, na ayaw, ay parang unconstitutional ang feeling.
That's part of the questions that we ask. And then we have lingering questions there, similar to the initial questions is, are they aware that Smartmatic is a foreign entity? So again, it's something that we can do as a follow-up survey next week. So it's part of the program that we can raise next week to answer all of those lingering questions.
What do you mean by majority of voters in the second finding?
All right.
What's the percentage? In the first finding, 2 out of 3 voters feel that there is widespread cheating in AES, and that corrupt officials can easily bribe Comelec and Smartmatic to rig the AES in their favor. It's 2 out of 3. And yet, in the finding number 2, you said majority of voters trust both Smartmatic and the Comelec to run the AES and agree to its continued use. There seems to be a contradiction between the finding number 1 and finding number 2. So what exactly does this finding or do these findings tell us?
Correct, sir. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have lingering questions as well. We noticed the trend. We noticed that it's kind of contradicting. So, we have lingering questions here, like for example, it may be because of their limited knowledge in terms of the issues. So as mentioned by Doc Mike, so this is just the start of our study. So next week we can always commission a new survey and the good thing about this, aside from the quantitative analytics that we can gather from the application, we can do focus group discussions on our respondents and see their deep reason why they answer this way.
Can we see the 10 questions that you asked? Because that will help us determine
Yes, sir.
whether the findings are really based on their understanding of the questions that you asked them.
Can you go back? It's in the first. Can you see at the back? It's kind of small.
The 10 questions.
Those are the 10 questions that we asked. We first asked them, are you a registered voter? So 88%, 88% of the respondents said that they are registered voters. And then we asked them, nabilang ba ang boto ko sa results ng eleksyon gamit ang AES? So that's the second question. The third question is,
Can we know what is the answer? I mean, what is the
Yeah.
percentage?
let's forward to the findings now. So the findings were prepared by Ms. Marlene. Ms. Marlene, if you can help me here. Okay. So, so the questions here is, voters agreed that their votes were counted by the AES. So those are the results.
So what's the result?
Okay, so they were presented statements actually. All they have to do is agree or disagree on the statement. So in this one, nabilang ang boto ko sa resulta ng eleksyon gamit ang computerized election system. 93% said yes or agree. And then 7% said no, disagree. Okay?
Okay, so in this case, there's an overwhelming support for the automated election system, because if that's the sentiment of the voters, that their votes were counted, then that's a plus point for Comelec and for the automated election system.
But when they were...
Regardless of their understanding of what is this election system,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
But this is a direct question.
Yes, it's a direct question.
Voters, how is it framed again? The
Nabilang
question.
ang boto ko sa resulta ng eleksyon gamit ang computerized election system.
Okay, then it's very obvious that the voters believe that their votes were counted.
Counted, yes.
And if their votes were counted, then whatever came out is credible.
However, in the other statement, may malawakang dayaan sa computerized election system, only 64% agree.
Na may dayaan.
Yes, may dayaan.
Majority.
So, may dayaan pa rin in their heads, may dayaan.
Can you state the question with regard to?
May malawakang dayaan sa computerized election system. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
64% agree.
And yet, in the first question,
They said
my vote was counted,
Mm.
therefore believable.
Mm.
In the second question, may malaking dayaan.
Yes.
Eh, naman,
Contrast.
contrast yun eh.
It's contrasting, yes. That's why we're also asking, part of our summary there was asking, is it because they have limited understanding of how it works?
So, yung malawak ang dayaan is directly connected to the automated election system? Is that how you frame the
Yes,
question?
may malawakang dayaan sa computerized election system.
So that's where the follow-up study is. So it's possible na nabilang nga siya, but to whom? To the right person that I voted for. So that's something that we can ask them next. And then another thing that we can do is we can do qualitative analysis. Why did you answer this way? Why do you feel this way? Why do you feel that there's widespread cheating in the elections, but you still feel that your vote was counted. So that's where the follow-up questions will come in. So as we mentioned earlier, this is just the start of our study. This was done last week. We can always conduct another study this week to answer all of those questions, Senator.
Okay, what's the third question?
Kayang-kayang bayaran ng mga korap na politiko ang Comelec at Smartmatic para sila ay papanaluhin sa eleksyon gamit ang computerized election system. 88% agree.
88% agree.
So that's 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's
Okay. Well, again, this finding contradicts the first finding.
Yes.
Okay. So we can see the contrast, no? The discrepancy or the conflict. Then next.
May tiwala ako sa computerized election system ng Smartmatic. 3 out of 4 voters trust Smartmatic.
So again, this is consistent with the question number 1.
Yes.
But 2 and 3 are not consistent
Consistent,
with
yes.
finding number 1 and number 4.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Next.
May tiwala ako sa kakayahan ng Comelec na magpaandar ng computerized election system. So 83% agree.
Finding number 1 and finding number 4.
Yes.
Next.
Mainam na ipagpatuloy ng Comelec ang paggamit ng Smartmatic's computerized election system.
There you are. 1, 4, 5, 6. They are all consistent. Okay. Then,
Ang pagkuha ng dayuhan para magpatakbo ng pagboto at pagbilang ng boto o election system ay hindi naaayon sa konstitusyon or illegal. 77% also.
well, that's neutral. Meaning the result is not neutral, but the understanding is not relevant
Relevant to
to
the
1, 4, 5, 6.
Mas mainam ang hybrid na sistema o kombinasyon ng pamamaraan ng manual na pagbilang at electronic transmission o ang pagpapadala ng boto gamit ang computer systems. So this one is almost all, so that's 95% agree that the
But-
hybrid system is better.
But again, it's inconsistent with finding 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
May tiwala ako sa kakayahan ng mga Pilipino IT programmers at professionals na gumawa ng computerized election system. So same, 94%.
Well, that's the anti-foreign sentiment. Consistent. I think what you have to resolve, really is the inconsistency between findings number 1, 4, 5, 6 up to 1, 4, 5, 6. No? 2 and 4 totally contradict
Yes.
finding 1 and 4. 7, 8, 9 are not really, it's a perception, constitutionality, legality, and belief in Filipino. They're not directly connected to the counting of votes. So what can be the reasons why this
So it's also in our heads, we're thinking it was difficult to analyze the results of the study. So we were thinking of some factors that might have affected the way they answered. It's either you have limited understanding.
if I'm Smartmatic, I will use your study and translate it to the whole world. Comelec also, I will use your study and translate it to the whole world.
Yeah.
It's either you have limited understanding of the quirks of the automated election system, or they don't really care whether there's cheating or not, as long as they're voting. So we can only surmise right now, or probably they're too busy to
To analyze.
to analyze their own answers. So it's showing us the kind of voters that we have, actually. Okay? So as Martin mentioned, we can actually come up with follow-up studies, whether it's quantitative via the applications or qualitative via focus group discussion, to understand really what's on their head. Just to share, I did a previous focus group discussions on something similar, and also the answers of respondents are kind of conflicting. It's about behavior of some politicians that despite their misgivings with the politicians, they're still willing to vote for these politicians. So in a similar token, we can see a similar pattern here.
Even if there is a widespread condemnation of almost all people in government,
Yes.
and yet people participate
Yes.
still in election. That's what
Yes.
we're trying to say here. You're trying
So
to
it's
say.
also conflicting in something that, we would not,
So the Filipinos are conflicted, no?
yes, conflicted, highly conflicted right now.
Mm.
And they have a tendency to rationalize that anyway, it's happening all over, not just in the Philippines, whether it's bad politics or cheating, whatever. We just choose the lesser evil.
So mababaw ang kaligayahan
That's
natin.
this is based on my qualitative study and another study.
Okay. I will ask a series of questions. No? Number one, what do you mean by your community, Tangere community of 40 or 50,000? Is that a sample size that you
What we're
have?
trying to say is, obviously, unlike the traditional surveys done face-to-face, house-to-house, doing the statistical rigidity of computing for margin of error and confidence level, obviously our respondents are not the same, because these are people who have smartphones. That's the only way you can participate in the study if you download the app. So they have smartphones, they have access to in mobile internet. So basically, in terms of demographics, there might be a slight difference. Obviously, they're from the profile a while ago, they're younger. But in terms of demographic profile, they're more the ones who are answering, participating in the surveys are more of the B. Okay, compared to the national average, I think the proportion in terms of A, B, C, D in the national, based on our population, it's much higher in the Philippine population. The distribution of upper C compared to ours. So okay, so having said that, it's our community. It's only this is just the sentiment of the Filipino masses, with leaning towards the baby and younger.
Are you saying you have a database of telephone numbers?
No, sir. What happens there is they download the application from their smartphone.
Yes.
So, and then we get their profiles
How do you spread the news or this information?
through the application. So it's think Facebook.
Yeah.
So it's like a Facebook, but it's doing sentiment questions on sentiments.
So you ask us questions through Facebook?
No, sir.
All of the questions, sir, are in the application. So just to add to what Ms. Marlene mentioned, part of our advocacy is to...
But this app, this has to be first communicated.
Yes,
That there is this app.
it's part of our marketing campaign, sir. Mostly digital marketing campaign. So we leverage on Google Ads, we leverage on Facebook marketing to get our respondents. Our goal this year is to get around 150,000 members.
Okay, that's how you communicate.
Yes,
or
sir.
Inform the people of this app
Tama po.
through various social media
Platform. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's how you do it.
Yes, sir.
And then once they downloaded the app already, we can communicate to them that there's an ongoing survey through the application. And then they can choose to participate what type of survey they're going to answer in that application.
So when you say 50,000 community, what do you exactly mean? Those who
Downloaded
downloaded
the application
the
software.
application software.
So that's the community.
Correct. And are active members of our community. So we collaborate with them. We have followings already on Facebook. So they message us. We have a group. So it's like really a community. We know each other. I know almost all of our members by name.
50,000.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Whenever, for example, you get constant message from 1,000 people daily, you will remember their name and their face.
1,000 people, but 50,000, that's a big challenge.
It's a challenge, but it's part of what we call crushing it. So it's part of communicating daily with your audience. So it's part of a discipline that we try to maintain with the company. We treat them as family members, as community members, not as random respondents that I get from the mall or something. Yes, sir.
What I understand is this: the purpose of this particular study is really not to favor anybody here, but the survey is actually a study. We would like to know the attitude, the behavior, the heart, and we would like to understand why Filipinos vote this way, act this way in an election. We would like to go deeper using technology, in this case, data analytics or big data analytics, no? To do a dive. No? That's the reason why that this is a first of a series of studies, no? / surveys, because what we're trying to do here is really to get down to the bottom of the question. Okay, we're not here to favor Comelec or Smartmatic. We're not here to condemn them. We're not here. We would like to understand basically what the Filipino heart is saying when it comes to elections. And there's a new issue here because since 2010, there's a new group na pumasok. Before that, tayo-tayo lang mga Pilipino ang involved dito sa eleksyon. Now, here's a technology provider that is not Filipino, and that was one of the questions na tinanong nyo. No? So, that is the sentiments. No? So, maybe in the succeeding studies, no, we would like to invite you again here sa MATA SA BALOTA Forum to elucidate further and even go deeper. Kasi kailangan natin maintindihan bakit ganito tayo tuwing eleksyon. Bakit ganito ang nangyayari sa eleksyon natin. Okay? Ang sabi nila, dalawa lang daw yung resulta ng eleksyon. Nanalo ka o dinaya ka. So that's basically common. Pag natalo ka, you go to the media and you make a press release and sabihin mo, nadaya ako. Okay? So, is this the reason or part of the reason why you're doing this? Ang sabi ni Mark kanina, this is independent and this is not, you're doing this at your own expense, basically. Nobody's financing you, although your commercial activities is really a survey group for businesses. No? Yan yung hanap buhay nyo, yan yung daily, bread and butter nyo. But you're doing this survey opinions on a national issue like election. And nobody's paying you here.
Yes,
basically.
sir, correct. And if I may add, if we really wanted to do
Business.
if we want to make it easier for both of us, because we know that the results are conflicting, we could have massage it so that you don't have to ask us so many questions. Even as we were perplexed, it took us a day before we can, Martin was saying our results are real time. This one, we cannot admit that the results were on real time because it was difficult to analyze.
So in other words, you called a spade a spade.
Yes, that's how
To
we
make
work.
things, I'm not saying, I'm not pointing to any group.
Yes.
Kung gusto lang natin magiging madali yung buhay natin, pwede natin doktorin.
Yes, it was easy. We can remove some of the sentiments and just
Just to
report
favor
the-
one
whoever
opinion,
over
whichever
the
it
other,
is, over
yes.
the other.
But even we are perplexed with the results, and you know, this shows us how Filipinos think the way they vote. Actually, with this one.
And this shows the real purpose why you're doing this survey.
Yes.
Ang end goal dito is understanding
Understanding.
whatever it is. Kasi ang election is a unique period of time, no? Yung na kinakapture natin, and what you're trying to do is really studying basically all these things, no? And your instrument in studying is this surveys, plus the fact that you are now using top of the line technology, big data analytics, to guide you further to do a deep. So this thing is an initial result that you are now sharing with our friends at the media, and you have other
We have other studies.
which we would like to invite you again to visit us next week, and to probably siguro ang gagawin natin Pilipino naman tayo lahat, no? So sama-sama tayo mag-aral, no? So there's this question of conflicting things.
Responses.
Some respondents say that nabilang yung boto. Some are saying na may dayan and all these things. So I think we have to more or less pinpoint kung ano talaga. No?
Okay. Yung sa Marlene, again, sa methodology before Senator before the Senator asks his question. 50, you mentioned about 50,000 community, those who, is that the number that downloaded the apps?
It's the same number, sir, as our followers in Facebook. So, and our
Okay.
respondents in those who download our application.
Which is which? 50,000 downloaded?
It's the same. Those
Who participated and were able to complete the 10 sentiments.
What about the 2,500?
The 2,000, some of them were not able to finish for one reason or the other. It could be, yes, it could be nawalan sila ng signal.
So let me put it very concretely then. It's 1/8 of 50,000.
Yes, sir.
So 1/8 participated,
Yes, sir.
fully participated
Fully participated.
in answering all these 10 questions. What is the profile of this 1/8?
This one, sir.
Can you
So that's 41 males and 59% females. 41% males, 59% females. In terms of the age range, as mentioned a while ago, we're heavy on the younger group because these are smartphone users.
What's percentage?
41% is between 18 to 25 years old.
41. Huh?
Yeah, 41%. 26 to 35 years old is 43%. 36 to 50 years old is 15%. 51 to 64 years old is 2%. And less than 1%, 65 and up.
Would you say it's reflective of the demographic profile
I'll
of
show you,
the country, of the
show you a
voters?
comparison on the demographic profile. Sorry.
Maybe you can switch places na. Handle lang.
Last slide.
My last question, Marlene, is it reflective, the result reflective of the demographic
Okay.
of the country?
It's quite small, but on the leftmost side is the profile of our survey respondents. On the right side, that's the population 2019 projection based on the 2015 census data. So, if 18 to 25 years old, it's not apple to apple right now because this is the way the Philippine population is cutting it up. 15 to 24 years old, that's 27% of the population for age 15 years old and up. So that's 27 while ours is 41%. So in the Philippine population, 25 to 34 years old is 23%, ours is 43%. So I was saying a while ago, it's heavy on the younger because of the ownership of mobile phones and access to internet. In terms of gender, it's almost in the Philippines it's 50.
But were those 15-year-old also participated in
No,
this?
ours is just 18 to
18.
25. Yeah. We start with 18 to
With
25. Because we were looking for the voting population. It's just a comparison with the Philippine population, this table.
Last question. Do you think Facebook is a good base to use in your survey?
Our respondents, they have the option whether to sign up using their Facebook account, to sign up using their emails, or using their Gmail accounts. So it's not just Facebook.
But
It's
your,
not just registered.
your followers, how many are from Facebook?
In terms of the breakdown of those, it's 40-40-20. 40 from Facebook, 40 from Gmail, and the rest from their own emails. So, and then we filter out, because it's possible that I'm a respondent, I want to win prizes. We filter out those who have more than one account. So it's just one account per person. Wala po kaming trolls na may 10 accounts sa app namin na vote namin.
When you say Gmail, you got Gmail accounts.
They register using their Gmail account, and when you register, you agree to our privacy profile. Our privacy profile is registered already with the data privacy
And
commission.
then the rest, the 20% is from
Instead of Yahoo, for example.
assorted.
Yes, it's assorted. Outlook, Yahoo, whatever.
Well, people still use traditional media
Yes, sir.
in
Yes,
making
sir.
choices.
Yes, sir.
In making choices. I mean, even if social media had been valued as the linchpin of getting information out, still candidates are using conventional media primarily, not solely. Social media contribute a lot already, it's growing, but still real time now, the candidates are still using the conventional media more than the social media. So what I'm trying to say is getting your population from social media may not be accurate as compared to a person-to-person interview in the marketplace. I'm not saying in the market, I mean in public. What do you say to that?
We're not saying we're as accurate as the traditional market research companies because obviously we're not doing the
Person-to-person.
person-to-person and the multi-stage random sampling, all those methodology. But what we can say is, since we have a very big base, it's already indicative of how the Filipino masses feel about some issues.
Well, I like the word indicative.
Indicative.
This can be indicative, but when in war, you cannot just be basing it on indication. There has to be a certain level of precision and confidence. Well, having said that, you're doing a good job, finding out the sentiment of the people, which can provoke more questions to.
And also, sir, we're trying to introduce or the Filipino mobile users, instead of you writing your sentiments on Twitter or on Facebook, this is a better way because we can collate what you're saying. Because it's more difficult to do that in other social media platforms. If you have to say anything, this is a better platform. We can hear your votes, we can hear your voice.
There is a group that has 130 million cell phone numbers. And this group does a 130 million text blast
Yes.
asking questions. With that size, it's all across
Yes.
all strata of society.
That's our intention, sir, moving forward. Maybe in less than 3 months or 6 months time, we will have that same level of
Because
number of
You
users.
think that will be a very potent
Yes.
survey
Moving forward.
methodology?
Yes.
It doesn't just
Moving
use,
forward, I think that's it's really something we're trying to start right now because we believe that in a matter of a year or 2 years, it would be easier to engage them through smartphones.
So what will be the next questions so that you can break down all of these findings and try to find out why is the answer that way, but why are there contradictions in the findings?
We can have it as early as next week, sir. Our survey in the application, it runs every Monday. It ends on Saturday evening. So you can get the results in the app immediately. You can view it in real time. The data analytics will come in 2 to 3 days. So that's the timeline in terms of what we will do now is after this press conference, we'll sit down together. We'll work on a program, questions that will ask why there is contradiction on your responses.
Okay, Mike, and this is a very interesting study,
Again,
an eye opener, but more questions have to be answered.
yeah, that leads back to my point. As I said earlier, and as you explained to all of us here at MATA SA BALOTA, what you're trying to do is try to study behaviors. No? You're not here to favor anybody. You're not here to endorse any candidate. We just want you, also us, would like to know what's really there, basically. And this automated election system law is very technical and complicated system, and this is the start of what we're trying to do, try to understand the sentiments and the responses of the various Filipino voters. We have Senator Mel Chavez.
Good morning. Ang observation ko lang, this is factual. 5 days before the tabulation in 2016 senatorial election and presidential election. 5 days 5 days after na matapos, nakakuha agad ako ng botong 1,670,000. 1,670,000 ang boto. Wala akong 5 days na ang dapat na makita ko na kung ilan na dapat yung aking boto. 5 days.
Sir, excuse me, you're referring to what election? Anong year?
2016.
2016.
Yes. 2016. Para malaman natin na tama yung inyong mga pananaw, ang inyong survey, ang inyong pagbibigay dito sa atin. Pero, hindi ho nababalik yung 9 provinces nang itatabulate pa nila yun na kasama ang Lanao Sur, kasama ang Palawan, kasama ang Nueva Ecija, na noong panahon na yun, alam na alam ko yung boto ko. Sa Palawan, nagiging 65,000 ang vote ko. Sa Nueva Ecija, 55. Dito sa Lanao Sur, 60. Pero, meron pa hong siyam nga eh. Siyam na mga probinsya. Hindi ho, ang boto ko ay
Hindi na bilang.
hindi na nabibilang. Hindi na nadagdagan noong 2016. Kaya, anong klaseng tabulation yung ginawa ng Comelec? Dahil nandun mismo ako nung araw na yun. Na ibigay nila sa akin yung print out na 1,670,000 ang aking boto. Ganun mo ka tarantado ang Smartmatic. Kaya, nang makita namin itong ganitong survey, kami ho sa Labor Party ay nag-petition ho sa Comelec na dapat wala na yung SWS, Pulse Asia, na magsosurvey-survey. Bakit ho? Ang sabi ninyo ngayon, dahil marketing, wala kayong gastos. Pero ang sabi ng presidente ng Pulse Asia, pag nag-survey, 2,500,000 ang gagastusin nila. Saan sila kukuha? Samantalang ang kanilang korporasyon non-profit. Anong klase? Kandidato ako ngayon. Hindi ako mapayag na tarantaduhin tayo ng Comelec at ng Smartmatic. Kaya, sana naman na ang akin ng obserbasyon dahil nang manalo si Digong, matalo naman si Bongbong. Ang sabi ni Bongbong, nadaya kami ng Smartmatic. Ayan, paano ngayon yun?
Sen Mel, I understand that you are the president of
Labor Party.
the Labor Party right now. And last week, the group composing the Rainbow Coalition under MATA SA BALOTA went to the Supreme Court and filed a mandamus petition to the Supreme Court to compel the Comelec and Smartmatic to fully implement all the provision of the automated election system law. What I understand from you is you are planning to go to the Supreme Court also
For an
and
intervention.
to become intervenors of this original petition that MATA SA BALOTA Group has filed last week. And here with us also is another group, the United Filipino Consumers and Commuters Group, who also intends to become intervenors of this particular original case that we earlier filed at the Supreme Court. No? So siguro what we could probably, anyway, we're already ending this presentation. Maybe you're already there, Senator Mel. You can already tell us about this intervention thing that you are planning.
Ginagawa naman namin.
Opo. So, thank you very much, Roman. Can we call the Vice President of UFCC? And, no, there lang. And probably, can you explain to us about this plans of yours to become intervenors in the original petition at the Supreme Court of MATA SA BALOTA?
Actually, this
Can you introduce yourself first?
Hi, good morning. I'm Olan Doliente, Vice President of UFCC. Actually,
UFCC is
United Filipino Consumers and Commuters. Actually, this will be follow-up and support for sa una naming Pinel na mandamus last week. To make sure na makalampag talaga ang Comelec.
so you're going to go to the Supreme Court and file sort of a intervention,
Yeah.
motion for intervention to support the original petition from Manamos.
Yes, Doc.
Okay, sige. Thank you very much. So, Jòey, any questions sa speakers natin?
Yes, good morning. Jòey de Guzman from DWBL. Siguro po, Sir Mark,
Morning, Mr. Jòey.
magsasuggest lang po ako.
Yes,
Kasi
po.
nakita ko po yung mga questions ninyo. No?
Yes po.
Hindi ba po pwede na ang gawin mo ninyong question is from top? Yung unang question, related dun sa second question, sa third question. Parang, kumbaga, mag-jive sa isang usapin. Kasi pag iba-iba ho, yung parang nagiging conflict po yung mga result. Ibig ko lang pong sabihin na halimbawa nagtanong po tayo sa isang tao. Kasi huwag niyong gagayahin yung sa false Asia kasi talagang false po yun. At saka ako po, naniniwalang bagamat siguro mahirap namang sa puso ko lang at sa puso ng pamilya ko, hanggat merong Smartmatic, wala hong totoong eleksyon.
Just to answer in terms of the methodology.
Yes po.
The best practice actually is to randomize the statements. Because we don't want them, parang, if we're going to put that in succession as if we're trying to put a story, it's already leading.
Okay.
So, talagang ang best practice po dyan ay iba-iba yung nakikita nilang statements. Parang as much as possible, mukha siyang hindi related.
Okay.
So you're just testing their perception or belief or agreement, disagreement on that specific question or statement without parang it's independent of the other statement. That's
Okay
the
po.
best practice.
Okay po, thank you for that. Kasi yun naman yung nakita ko lang.
And actually, talagang eye-opener yung results natin.
Opo.
Kasi yung conflict, nakikita natin. And we have to be ready na ganyan ka-conflicted ang mga tao. What can we do to help, di ba? So baka it's more of active communication. Diba? Kasi baka malamang maraming hindi nakakaalam ng issue.
Pero bilib po ako sa inisyatibo ninyo. Mukhang malaki po ang pondo ho ninyo dito.
Ay, wala po.
Wala ho ba? Hindi po. Ang ibig lang
Ito
sabihin,
po ang nagagawa ng
mukhang malaki ang magagastos ninyo kung
Ito po
kayo
ang-
po yung
Ito po ang
magtutulong.
nagagawa ng teknolohiya at saka ng marugdog na aming pagnanasa na makatulong sa publiko.
So that's your
Kasi po,
advocacy.
imbis na binabayaran kami sa oras namin,
Opo.
talagang ibinibigay namin dito para makatulong kami sa, malaman ng pulso ng masang Pilipino.
Congratulations for that.
Meron kami syempre yung mga negosyo, we have businesses, na
Okay.
meron kami mga kliyente sa small medium enterprises, sabi nga ni Martin. Pero inilalaan namin, every week meron kami tinatanong na makaka-apekto siguro sa pang-araw-araw na kabuhayan natin lahat.
So, ibig yung final question, ibig yung sabihin, pag meron kayong nag-commission sa inyo, nagbayad sa inyo na paki-survey mo nga itong aking status, no, as a candidate for this year. Ano pong commitment nila sa inyo at ano pong magagawa?
Actually,
Okay.
what we did for this year, we were trying to offer some of our services to the politicians for free.
Okay, that's
Yun.
good.
Kaya lang siguro dahil medyo late in the game na yung karamihan sa kanila dahil malamang nakapagpagawa na sila ng malalakihang survey, hindi na nila kami inabala.
Thank you so much.
Oo, kaya we're trying to yung mga on our own effort, kung ano man ang ginagawa ng PALS, senatorial candidates. So we even, as Martin mentioned, we even went further kahit wala pang party list, nagsimula na kami sa party list. And what we try to do is, bigyan naman ng konting parang description yung mga party list para naman maiintindihan ng mga nakakabuboto. Ano ba para saan itong mga party list ito? So we did that. And then ito, ginawa namin itong survey na ito. And we have other 2 surveys.
Thank you so much.
Salamat po.
Our friends from ABS-CBN, do you have a question?
Good morning, sir. I just have 2 questions. One is, from my understanding, ang atin pong audience ay basically online, people who use the online to get into your app. My question is, how can we be assured that these are real people, that these are not fake accounts, these are not trolls, these are not propagandists that are using the medium to propagate their own agendas?
Good morning, sir. Kayo po si Mr.
Ron Gagala.
Sir Ron. Sir Ron, what we do is, once you register using the application, for example, lagay ko dito yung Gmail account ko, we have your name in the database already. And then what we do is, we have an algorithm within our database na, let's say for example, si John Santiago, nakita namin na may 5 John Santiago, they have the same, same location, they have the same age. Then we filter out those names. So para ma-avoid natin yung draw natin. Maybe John Santiago created 5 accounts para mas mataas yung chance niya manalo sa raffle. But we filter those out. So wala po tayong nag-double accounts. Yung trolls na tinatawag, wala po tayo. Those are real people.
Yeah, I mean, fake accounts can still be real people. But, one people using 10 different accounts. So, will the algorithm solve that?
Yeah, that's possible. For example, gagawa ko ng John Santiago, then I'll do, let's say, a Mark Santiago or Mark de la Cruz. But they are real people. So what we do is, as I mentioned kanina, those who download our applications, they also like and follow us on our Facebook page. So we have a list of our followers. Then kino-compare din namin yun doon. Minimix and match din namin sila. So yun, at that level yung control namin. Within the range of the Data Privacy Commission. Hindi naman namin kasi we cannot get their IP address. For example, this John Santiago, this Mark de la Cruz are using the same IP address. Bawal po yan. So we rely on the legal technology that we can use to filter out those people.
My second question is, okay, we have these results. We know now that minsan may conflicting answers sila. But how can this actually help people make better decisions? I mean, what is the significance of these results? I mean, after knowing this, ano gagawin ko ngayon? I mean, I'm talking of common people, mga magbabalot dyan, tindero-tindera. Paano nila magagamit yung resulta na ito para makapag-desisyon sila ng mas makabuluhan at mas tama ngayong darating na halalan?
Tama yan, Sir Ron. What we want first to do is to raise awareness na there are these concerns, issues happening now in the society. For example, when there was a discussion of the medical marijuana, what we did is we raised 10 questions. We educate the people ano ba yung medical marijuana bill. When the Universal Health Bill was signed into law, we educate the people ano ba yung kasama ng Universal Health Bill. When we had a Senate survey, what we did is, instead of relying on the brand of the candidate, we showed them their education profile, their background, their achievements, their advocacies. So ang maganda po kasi dito, since we're a community, yung mga respondents namin, they message us in the Facebook, they raise comments na, Sir, Boss Martin, salamat po, mas nagiging aware ako na may ganito palang kandidato. Like right now, our ongoing survey is on the party list. Nalaman nila na this party list pala is represented by a traditional politician. They're just using the party list as a platform. Nakita nila this party list, ang advocacy ko pala is for poverty, which is ang layo sa pangalan ng party list ko. They're just using it as a catchy name, but their advocacy is different. So, at least nakatulong kami to bring awareness, to educate our respondents na those are issues that are prevailing in our society and to educate them. Yun po talaga yung goal namin. So, educate them on key issues which are happening in our society.
Ron,
Thank you, Sir Ron.
Ron, where's Ron? The way I see it, this survey is for people who have their own advocacy, which is to ensure that the election, or to contribute to making the election honest and credible. What's the direct connection of this survey to that advocacy? It's very clear, based on this survey, that the public is not aware of the issues involving automated election system. Despite these efforts of MATA SA BALOTA Media Forum, which had already conducted 2 fora on the automated election system, pointing out certain issues or problems that can make the election not credible or even dishonest election. That the people don't know. That the people don't know about the issues, and they will still vote, and they feel that their votes will be counted, even at the back of their mind that there is a massive there's cheating that will happen with this automated election system. Psychologically, I think people go to the polls to fulfill an obligation and to justify their going to the polls. Anyway, sige na. Siguro maboboto, mabibilang naman yung boto ko. But at the back of their mind, lokohan lang ito eh. And then, okay. I think that's what is. I think that's what's happening. So advocates like MATA SA BALOTA, AES Watch, UFFC, Labor Party, and all these affiliated groups supporting this advocacy for clean, orderly, honest, and peaceful election. You guys will have to do more to educate the public that they can actually help ensure an honest election by getting the BBPAT, the verified voter paper audit trail, sign it even, and then before it is placed in the ballot, in the box intended for the BBPAT, take a photo of the election return once they are posted after the counting in the classroom, in front of the classroom, and all things that have to be done by the voters. So, I think that's how you can connect all of this discussion. This survey is not really intended for the voters to choose who will be the best candidates, no? But this is a survey to study how the people perceive this AES. But they will vote. They think that votes will be counted at the same time. At the back of their minds, may massive cheating with regards to this AES. So, how do you prevent the massive cheating? So you have to explain. We have to explain. The MATA SA BALOTA will have to continue explaining what are the issues with regard to the automated election system, so that in the end, the citizens can do something positive to help ensure an honest and clean election. So thank you very much.
Salamat din po, Sir Dan.
Martin and Marlene.
Last word, Martin and Marlene. Parting words before we
So, hopefully with the application that we have now, we get the chance to fulfill our advocacies, which are to educate the people, give incentives to our respondents in a way to elevate their lives, and understanding the key issues sa community. So, salamat po sa pagpunta ngayon. So, we will be sending a copy of the PowerPoint presentation and some of our results, if it's applicable to you, we'll be sending it to you. Everything is for free. We'll be sending all of the data analytics after this. So, salamat po.
By the way, we would like to welcome our friends on the social media. No? Any question from your side before we go? Yes, sorry, please.
I'd like to find out. I'm Ricky Danzan.
Good morning, Sir Ricky.
I used to be with KBP.
KBP.
Yes. Northern Mindanao. Now, I'd like to find out with Comelec and Smartmatic. Ever since, there has been no digital signature, which is kumbaga, yun ang sure ball, panigurado ng mga bumoboto na talagang meron yan. Now, does Comelec have an answer for that?
Let me take that
Yes,
question. A week ago, we went to the Supreme Court, the different members of the Rainbow Coalition of MATA SA BALOTA, and filed a petition for mandamus. So the Supreme Court can compel the Comelec and Smartmatic to implement fully what is written in the automated election system law.
Yes.
And yung digital signature na yan, na sinasabi mo, sir, is one of the prime petition, and together with other 36 or 30 plus points of that law that probably we can group under safety nets, no, to protect the sanctity of the election. No. So most of these provision of the automated election system law was not implemented or partially implemented, or I don't know. So that was another part of that is the voter's receipt, which in 2016 we went to the Supreme Court together with Senator Dick Gordon, and we were victorious in getting the order. However, the implementation is hilaw pa rin. That's why part of the petition that the Rainbow Coalition under MATA SA BALOTA wrote the Supreme Court in the form of a petition for mandamus, nakaano yun, nakalagay na doon. Ang hindi ko makalimutan during one of the Senate hearing, because a year or so, Senate President Tito Soto made a privileged speech, no? And he said that in 2016 na detect may mga evidences, may mga witnesses na come up a day before the 2016 May 9, 2016 election. They already detected that there were early transmission. We're talking about May 8. So, sinasabi ni Senate President na hindi po ito testing. Parang gano'n. Because of that privileged speech, JCOC, which is Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, composed of the Senate and the lower house, was created to more or less take a look. So we would like to welcome the spokesperson and former president of IceWatch, Dr. Nelson Celis. No? He is very active in the JCOC hearings, etc., etc. And all these things that you're saying, sir, is part of the petition that we have filed. Can we ask Dr. Celis to give us a little information on all these updates on what happened sa JCOC, anong nangyari, anong findings, latest findings ng Jacob, no? And the late Dr. Nelson Celis, kasama ko po dito, he is the spokesperson and president, past president naman, Professor, or current, past president, Philippine Computer Society po. Dr. Celis.
Well, with regard to the latest update on the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, there was this technical working group that was led by representatives from the Senate and from the House of Representatives to discuss the details on what really transpired and what are the reasons behind the privileged speeches of Senator Tito Soto in March of 2018. The bottom line of that hearing at the Senate on April 8th, it was a unanimous April 8th, 2019, but the privileged speeches of Senator Soto was delivered in March of 2018. So the bottom line of that hearing was that the representatives from the Department of Science and Technology, headed by Engineer Peter Vianzon, the representative of a computer association, the Philippine Linux Users Group, headed by Dr. Pablo Mendoza, and then the former representative from Manila, Congressman Marlene, and Mr. Jeffrey D. or Jeff D. He was a former Smartmatic official. And all of these representatives from different organizations had a conclusion that there was this early transmission that happened before the May 9 national election. That was in 2016. So there were early transmissions on May 8th. And then even before the election proper on May 9 of 2016. So that was a unanimous conclusion of these representatives from different organizations. So what transpired in that particular scenario? So there was this unauthorized transmission from different locations from BCS, from the vote counting machines. So who authorized these guys people who operated these vote counting machines? And the analysis at this point in time was that you cannot trace possibly on what particular IP address that were used by these people who transmitted the election returns even before the election. So we had an analysis that there was also a queuing server that were used during that 2016 election. Unauthorized use. In fact, medyo talagang hindi namin malaman kung bakit itong ating Commission on Elections at even yung service provider and system provider of the automated election system, yung Smartmatic. At ginawa nila itong mga unauthorized installation of what they call the queuing servers. In fact, si Marlene Garcia of Smartmatic, even in 2017, also mentioned about this queuing servers that were present during the 2016 elections. And nobody knew about this queuing server. This was not even disclosed by the Commission on Elections. So, ang ibig sabihin nito, meron pong tinatawag na unauthorized use of these queuing servers that are installed between the vote counting machines and the consolidation and canvassing servers. So meron kami tinatawag na mirror or pwede nating sabihin na store and forward na computer na nasa batas naman natin na dapat sa transmission ng election returns ay kailangan manggaling from the VCMs or from the counting machines direct to the municipal board of canvassing. Kaya hindi po ito autorisado, it's not even disclosed, and marami pong kababalaghan nangyari noong 2016. Kaya, pwede mo bang mangyari ito sa 2019? Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa mo kami nakakakuha. We haven't gotten any feedback yet. Even the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, if there are queuing servers in the middle of the transmission between the precincts and the Municipal Board of Canvassing. And ang problema po dito, ito po ay lalabas bukas sa Manila Times. Ako po ay isang kolumnista. Ang title po ng aking column bukas, Transparency Crisis. Column. A decade of serious election problem. So, we have been experiencing this since 2008. So, marami na pong irregularities na na-discover po yung aming grupo, yung Automated Election System Watch, at ang iba pong mga watchdogs katulad ng NAMFRE, MATA SA BALOTA, at iba-iba pong mga organisasyon. So, napatunayan po doon sa aming TWG meeting noong April 8 na marami pong irregularities, yung early transmission, the queuing server, and noong 2008, during the ARC elections, yung ating pong mga election returns ay nababago remotely. Sino po ang provider nung automated election system no? Smartmatic din po. 2008 po yan, no? Sa ARC elections. Noong 2010, marami po tayo napatunayan ng mga irregularities dyan. Nung a week before the election, May 3, nagkaroon ng final testing and sealing. Yung malabas po sa final testing and sealing nila. Mali-mali po yung pagbibilang ng Vicus machines. So nangyayari po ngayon yan sa overseas absentee voting, especially po sa Hong Kong. Merong mga butante na bumoto lang ng isa na senator, pero lumalabas ito sa voters list at no. Doon po sa 2010, bumoto doon, yung sa final testing ng sealing, 10 balota, binoto kay Binay, may boto kay Binay at boto kay Mercado, pero pinagkaiba Yung final testing ng CV in 2010, tsaka itong overseas absentee voting natin. So these are irregularities. So kung ginawa ng Comelec noon, they had a resolution to retrieve all the 76,000 compact flashcards. So paano naman magagawa ng Comelec, no? Na ma-retrieve lahat yung mga CF cards at may test, ma-certify at ibalik doon sa previous machines in a week's time, from May 3 to May 10, 2010. So malabo po yun. That is very, very impossible. So nangyayari din po ngayon yan doon sa overseas absentee voting natin. Ano ang gagawin ng Comelec yan? I-retrieve back ba yung mga SD cards na nakalagay doon sa vote counting machines? Ay, malabo yun. Ta-transport ba yun dito papunta dito sa Pilipinas? O kung hindi naman, transport ng Comelec papunta doon sa different konsulado. Noong 2013, marami po nangyaring irregularities dyan. 2016, lalo na. So sa 2019, are we expecting more of these irregularities? Yes. Why? Number one, the Commission on Elections have not yet implemented the digital signing of transmitting election returns and the certificates of conduct. So 2008, hindi nila ginawa yan. 2010, hindi rin ginawa. 2013, hindi. 2016, hindi rin. Ano sinasabi ng Commission on Election? Gagamitin natin yung machine digital signature. Pero kung di kayo maniniwala ng 2003, yung mga Comelec officials at the time, they implemented the digital signing or digital signatures for the automated counting machines na supposedly to be used in 2004 elections. So naniniwala po ang Commission on Elections na dapat mayroong digital signing for the 2004 elections, even though hindi mandated ng Republic Act 8436 na magkaroon ng digital signatures at that time. So 1997, yung ating 8436, which is the Automated Election System Law, in-implement na po yung digital signing noong 2003, na testing mo yan. Sino po ang provider nito? Yung EPLDT, a subsidiary company of PLDT. So ready po ang Commission on Elections on digital signing regarding the use of digital signatures in 2003. Tapos, noong 2008, before that, 2007, nagkaroon amendment ng batas, naging RA 9369, or that was enacted in 2007. Yung technical working group po, kasama rin po yung mga natin din, yung mga Commission on Elections. Pinasama na rin po yung digital signing o digital signatures. Kasi naniniwala sila na effective. Supposedly, yung digital signatures to be used in 2004. In fact, there was a one-week training of the Comelec officials on the use of digital signatures. That's 1 week. Now, these are the top officials of the Commission on Elections. Kaya, ipinasama rin ho ng Comelec yung digital signatures dun sa amendment ng batas. Kaya naging 9369. From 8436, naging 9369. Eh bakit? Pagdating ng 2008, 2010, 13, and 16, hindi ginamit yung digital signature. Samantalang naniniwala the Comelec officials during the time in 2003, they believe that digital signatures are very important in transmission, in transmitting election returns and certificates of canvass. Eh bakit ngayon? isang dekada, natutulog yung Commission on Election. Bakit hindi tinutupad yung batas? Nandun po sa batas yun. Section 22 and 25, sinasabi po na yung the electronically transmitted and digitally signed election returns shall be the basis for proclaiming winning candidates dun sa Municipal Board of Canvassers. Nandun sa Section 25 na dun, the electronically transmitted and digitally signed certificates of canvass shall be the basis for proclaiming winning candidates in the provincial and in the National Board of Canvassing. So ilang digital signatures ang kailangan mo? Supposedly, 300,000 digital signatures for the Board of Election Inspectors and Board of Canvassers. Noong 2013, sinasabi ng Department of Science and Technology, Mr. Comelec, Mr. Vianzon at the time, we have 300,000 digital certificates or digital signing that can be used by your BIs and BOCs. Ginamit pa ng Commission on Elections. Binibigay na sa kanila yun. Hindi. Pagdating ng 2016, nandun naman si Bautista. Sinasabi rin ng Department of Science and Technology. Pero kami dito, si Jòey kasabi, I can remember it right. 300,000 you can use. Hindi pa rin. Bakit ganun katigas ang ulo ng Commission on Election? In complying with the law. Isang reason. Wala silang they did not promulgate the implementing rules and regulations of the automated election system law. That is also required and that is mandated by the law that the Commission on Elections shall promulgate the implementing rules and regulations. 1997 pa ho yan. So ilang taon na magmula ngayon? 82 years. Natutulog yung Commission on Elections. Hindi nila binigyan ng pansin na mag-craft ng implementing rules and regulations. So ano nangyayari? Because of the absence of the implementing rules and regulations, the way that Comelec implemented yung automation of our automated election systems in the past decade, it's up to their discretion based on their whims. Bakit ganun? Di ba? Gusto nilang palabasin yung gusto namin, machine signature. Eh wala naman sa batas yan eh. Yung PVPAT o yung voters receipt, kung hindi dahil kay Senator Dick Gordon noong 2016, no? Weeks before the May 2016 elections, nagkaroon ng petition na magkaroon dapat ng voters receipt. Kasi nandun yun sa batas. Nagkaroon ng oral argument doon sa Supreme Court at sinasabi ng Comelec, si Bautista, sinasabi niya, yung balota mismo, yung balota yung voters receipt, paano mangyayari yan? Nakalagay doon sa batas, sa RA 9369, na yung voter verified ticker audit trail or voters receipt can be generated by your counting machine. So in a matter of few hours after the oral argument, sabi ng Supreme Court, implement niyo yung Comelec. Sa tigas na ulo ng Comelec, hindi nila maisip kung paano na i-implement yun in a matter of few weeks. Kasi sarado na yung ulo nila eh. Yung kanilang mind na, hindi, yung balota yung yan yung voter system. Pero sabi ng Supreme Court, hindi, patupad niyo yung batas. That's also one reason, the absence of implementing rules and regulations dun sa BBPAN. Yun lang gusto niyo yung Comelec ang kanyang i-implement eh. So, meron siyang free will, lumalabas, to implement anything that they like. Hindi naman ganon. So, yung digital signature, gusto nila, machine. Eh, ang batas, at saka nakabase mo yan sa e-commerce law, yung Republic Act 8792. Na yung digital signature represents you now, it's not the machine. there's also a ruling on rules of electronic evidence by the Supreme Court. Yung electronic signature, digital signature represents you. It's like a pin, no? Ng ATM mo. Di ba? Ganun yun eh. So, for a decade, for more than a decade, and for more than 22 years, wala akong in-implement o pinromulgate ang Comelec regarding implementing rules and regulations. Eh samantalang, ang dami ngayon mga batas na enacted, inaprubahan ng ating Pangulo, yung Universal Health Care. Lahat po yan, lahat ng stakeholders, so many different government agencies talagang nagkakaisa para mailabas kaagad yung implementing rules and regulation immediately. Pero ito, 22 years. Eh, ang dami naman nilang magagaling na lawyer to, di ba? Pagbilang tayo, ilan ang mga lawyers nila nandun sa Commission on Elections. No? Magmula doon sa chairman hanggang doon sa mga heads. Magagaling yung mga ito. 22 years. Just imagine that. So, kaya nagkakaroon ng tayo ng transparency crisis. Because of these irregularities. Eh, bakit nagkaroon ng irregularities? Hindi na control yung Commission on Elections. Bakit hindi na control ng Commission on Elections? They don't have any basis in implementing the law.
Nakita ko yun eh, kasabay.
Noong April 8, sinasabi, magkakaroon ng Joint Congressional Oversight Committee supposedly this week. Meron bang tinawag? Meron bang hearing magmula nung Monday?
Wala.
Even last week? Even after the Holy Week? Yun din ang problema natin sa Joint Congressional Oversight Committee. Kung hindi ho nagtatawag ng hearing, nadidelay to the point nagiging moot and academic yung mga issues. Ano, March of 2018 pa sinasabi ni Senator Soto na mayroong irregularities. Dinable na derable, 13 days to go, last 2 minutes, wala pang desisyon.
So anyway, Dr. Celis, earlier, even in the past forum, sinasabi naman natin na yung Rainbow Coalition is going to government and sinasabi natin itong mga problema nakita natin. Solid move was sa judicial branch of government. Nandito yung Supreme Court petition ginawa ng grupo. Sa legislative, nandyan yung JCO, yung Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, which very active ang participation. So far, ang hindi natin masyadong napuntahan pa na option is the executive branch. No? And the executive branch of the government is headed by the father of this land, the President of the Republic. Siguro, ang nakikita natin is kung talagang gobyerno yung linalapitan natin, why not explore all branches of government? Bring this problem to all of them. And when we bring the problem, discuss it with them, dapat may hawak-hawak tayo ng mga ebidensya that is admissible in a court of law. So siguro, that's the advocacy. And we would like to ask first Jòey to ask his question, sir, before you. Masisiyaw. Ikaw muna, sir.
Good morning po. Sa ngalan po ni Jòey de Guzman, ang DWBF po. Meron po sana ko sa official sa Comelec. Kung mga politisya po, mayor, gobernador, presidente, meron po eleksyon. Kasi po yung sa Comelec official, pwede po ba silang palitan magkaroon dapat ng eleksyon? Dapat po, ang taong bayan ang bobotoy po dapat. Kasi puro sila lang po nakaupo eh. Dapat po ba yun? Kasi pagka isang tao, atole tatakbo ng sa Comelec, Smartmatic, nalaman na nabuko sila, nagkakaroon ng yung tao na wala, binabawas sa lupa, pinapatay. Ano po dapat? Dapat po ba magkaroon ng eleksyon sa official ng Comelec? At bakit?
Official.
Before Dr. Celis will answer that. I understand na yung mga Comelec commissioners, yung officials ng Comelec are impeachable officers of the law. So through an impeachment, I think, tama ba yan, Dr. Celis?
Tama yan, Dr. Michael. In fact, nasa ano natin yun, nasa constitution natin. Regarding the commissioners and the chairman.
Ayan.
The chairman should be a lawyer. But for the commissioners, it is best that they should be lawyers. But there were instances na hindi naman kailangan na maging lawyer per se. Katulad ni Commissioner Luz ng Campos,
Ito po kuya.
hindi naman siya lawyer. Si Commissioner Gascalaman is not even a lawyer. So, mostly these are appointees of the President.
So we would like to call Bishop Jess.
Thank you po.
Ang sa ngayon po ang nag-aaral
What's your newspaper na Bishop Jess?
Publisher editor ng Metro Star Ray, editorial consultant ng Bicos Balita, broadcaster of DZRJ, and DWAD. Ang agarapan po ngayon, lagi ko sinasabi sa aking programa, kawawa po taong bayan eh. Ang dapat po nakaisip tayo ng, kasi nililito ang mga taong bayan, katulad ng mga party list. Ang nagalagay ko sa party list, bahay. Iboboto ba yung bahay? Walang nakalagay na mga nominee. Eh, naglulukuhan tayo eh. Pagkatapos ng probinsyano, si Coco Martin ba, nominee? Eh, puri inchik po nasa likod doon. Kaya kung titingnan natin, napapanahon po itong mata sa balota na linawin ang gaganapin at ginaganap ng mga Comelec sapagkat ang Comelec po ang silang makapangyarihan na pwede lamang mag-question sa mga maling gawain itong mga kandidato. So tayo naman bilang mamayan, katulad po ng mata sa balota, siguro po kinakailangan nating diinan. Ano ba ito? Nagluloko ba tayo? Niloloko ba natin ang taong bayan? Bakit walang kumikibo sa Comelec na itong ipinamimigay na proyekto ng ibang politiko? Eh yung pong bahay, walang nakalagay na kung sino nominee. Yung pong mga iba, ganun din. Pagkatapos nagno-nominate ang isang artista, probinsyano, yung probinsyano po, boto na kagad yun. Pero sino ba ang nasa likod? Yung pala yung mga negosyanteng chick. Kaya po dapat ang mata ng balota ay question na po lahat ito para po naman sa kapakanan ng ating mga kabayan. Kaya nga po, sinilang ang mata sa balota para mabigyan natin protection ang lahat ng ating kabayan.
Salamat Bishop for the comment. Our friends from the social media, yung mga taga Bulacan yan, can you make question there? Please move forward. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, I'm Big C from Filipinos Online. To our gentlemen, do you foresee an honest and clear, clean election this coming May?
Oh my God.
Yeah, the survey or research, maybe you can, di ba pinaliwanag din naman kanina sa result, maybe you can elucidate further.
This opinion is on my own and does not reflect the opinion of our company, of course. So, honest and clean elections this 2019. So, we have, in terms of data, we have ilang election na ba tayo gumagamit na Smartmatic, sir? Pang-apat na to, no? Pang-lima na to?
5.
10, 13, 16, 19. Sa ARM.
Smartmatic yun.
Correct.
2019 is the fifth.
Hindi tayo nagdala.
That's the fifth one. So, if we check the data, I'll answer this into using two hats. So if I'm using my, as a statistical point of view, looking at the data, I would say no. Looking at the personal point of view, may tiwala pa rin naman ako sa mga Pilipino. So hopefully they will do the good thing this 2019. So yun po tayo. But again, that's my personal opinion. So as a Filipino, umaasa ako na pwede pa tayo magbago. There's a chance na it will be fair. Not necessarily 100% dayaan-free. In terms of analytics naman, probably there will be, hindi siya masyadong malinis. But that's two hats together.
Thank you, Mark. And before I call surprise reactor, bigyan ko konting background muna yung surprise reactor natin. He formerly was connected with Comelec, yung IT ng Comelec formerly. We will ask him, we'll call him later. No? So, Lingoy, please,
Tapos na kami.
before the lady, Lingoy.
Magandang umaga po. Ako po ay si Lingoy Alcuas na kalumnista ng opinion. Noong pong pinamimigay ng Diyos ang mga utak, absent po ako. At kinuha po ng kuya ko lahat yung electronic brain. Kaya ako po manual. Ang tanong ko po ay ganito, no? Ang naranasan ko sa pag-aaral ng mga survey mula noong 1985. Yung 85 po, yun po yung Ateneo SWS survey. Kung saan sinervey yung prospective mga presidential votes, including Cory Aquino. At natalo po si Cory ni Jòey at ni Butch Aquino. Anyway, ang naobserbahan ko ganito kapag ang tinanong ay tungkol sa organization o institution, halimbawa Malacanang, Senado, Kongreso, Supreme Court, no? Yung pong popularity, yung pong satisfaction, yung pong ay medyo bumababa. As compared to pag binanggit nyo na yung Malacanang ay President Duterte. Yung Senado, ang Senate President ay Senate President Tito Soto. O yung House, despite of the relative unpopularity of GMA during the middle of the decade of 2000 to 2010, GMA, or vice versa, the Supreme Court, etc. So, sa mga survey, merong ganon. Ang tanong ko po ay ganito. Yung pong SWS Pulse, Asia, LILO, LIAP, etc., etc., ang kanilang sistema ay face-to-face survey. Di ba? Okay. Tapos merong nag-fill up yung surveyor, kita nung kabila yung tao nagtatanong, kita nung nagtatanong yung kanyang tinatanungan. In your case, yung survey niya ay electronic, di ba?
Yes sir, online. Gamit ko yung app.
Ang tanong ko, kung meron kayong data, kung meron kayong observation, yung binanggit ko earlier na ang observation ko, kasi ang sinasabi ko mga survey ay yung mga face-to-face na interview, na nagkakaroon ng disparity, na pag ang topic ay tao, may pangalan, mas positive. Pag ang topic ay organization, walang pangalan ng tao, mas less positive, more negative. In your case, dahil walang face-to-face, naapektuhan ba yung difference between yung dalawang sinabi ko?
Hindi naman po. In terms of, we've been doing Senate survey since 2018. So we're doing it as an independent study on our end. Yung una po namin ginawa, what we wanted to do is tingnan muna yung brand ng tao. So, like yung mga sikat, nakita namin na mataas sila. Then, what we did the succeeding months is we in-introduce namin yung education background ng bawat kandidato. Nakita namin na yung mga ibang sikat, though mataas yung awareness factor nila, mababa yung vote rating nila and trust. So that's one. So ibig ko po sabihin doon, medyo indirect po ito na response sa question nyo, na if you get to know the people better, nag-iiba yung perception ng tao. It's the same for our party list survey. The one that we did last month, pinakita namin yung advocacy ng party list. The one that we're doing this week, nilagay namin na, ay, ito palang party list na to. Kaya po sabi ng isang nagtanong kanina, in-check pala to. Or itong party list na to, traditional politician pala yung representative niya. Nakita namin na naka-apekto, yung knowing the person behind the party list, naka-apekto yun sa vote rating niya. And then to answer naman your question directly, ako po, for example, nakasagot na po ba tayo ng survey sa mga mall? Let's say, like, boss, 5 minutes na po, answer this survey question, enter your salary range. Ako naman, nagpapadali ako, but kagandang loob, sasagutan ko yan, but with a bias now, because I know that someone is watching me answering the survey. So, ang gagawin ko, like for example, kakain ako sa restaurant, sir, how was our service? Yes ko lahat yan, 5 ko lahat yan, because there's bias. That's the same goes for I'm not saying that there's 100% bias. That's the same for manual surveys. When you answer their survey manually, I haven't answered any Pulse Asia or SWS survey personally. But when you're answering their survey, may tao sa likod mo. So, is this sponsored by a certain candidate? Baka may bias ako dito na ibovote ko siya. Now, with our application, it's on your own leisure. You have Monday to Saturday to answer the surveys. If you feel like answering the first part today, the second part tomorrow, do it on your free time. No one is watching you. The results are anonymous, so hindi mo sasabihin na baka tawagin kang isang kulay ng ibang tao. So, I think, was I able to answer your question, sir?
Thank you.
Salamat po.
Yes, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello po, I'm Ali Panglista from Kapit Bisig FM, Bulacan. Ito po yung tanong, kung sakaling sa panahon ng halalan, May 2019, gaano kahanda ang Smartmatic at Comelec kung sakaling magkaroon ng biglaang brownout sa hindi inaasahang panahon o oras po, gagana po ba ang ating mga machine sa halalan? Paano po masusure na hindi po talaga magkakaroon ng dayaan?
Well, public naman to, and this is the official statement of the spokesperson of Comelec, si James Jimenez, Director James Jimenez. Ang sinasabi naman nila na Comelec is already ready. They're all set for all preparation for the election. Green light na sila, and they're ready. Ang sinasabi mong brownout, common knowledge naman yung statement nila na yung mga machines, may mga batteries or uninterruptible supply, something like that. And I think Director James Jimenez has already explained all these things, na ready sila for this coming elections.
Thank you po.
Yes, before our friend Camille, let's ask our friend, former information technology guy of Comelec mismo. Nandito siya. But retired na siya ngayon. No? Let me call our friend Ernie Del Rosario. Ernie?
Expert yan sa computer.
Morning, Sir Ernie.
Focus na po ako sa BBPAT. Kasi whether magkaroon na action ng Supreme Court or not, pwede natin yung
BBPAT is
yung
voters'
resibo. Resibo na tawag natin siguro, mas malinaw na tao.
Can you explain a little bit about what BBPAT is para maintindihan ng taong bayan?
Opo.
Nakikinig yan sa
Background, history. Nanalo na po tayo noong 2016, ilagay yung BBPAT through the ni Senator Gordon. Kami pong dalawa ni Glenn Chong ang pumunta sa Supreme Court, nagpunta ron sa talaga nag-testify. So, nanalo yun, pero nung in-implement na po nung elections po, wala na, house job na, wala na, useless, totally useless. Pinaghirapan, nanalo na yun. So, noon, may violation na agad ang Comelec. Kasi sabi nila, no more time. Parang ito dahilan yan, no more time na gawin, whatever hinihingi o hinihingi ng law. Kaya gano'n, over and over again, yun ang kanta nila. Okay, ngayon po na nag-file tayo sa isa po ako sa pumirma, sa petition, Mandamos. Kaya lang, at tinan ko doon yung possibility na hindi ma-actionan. Wala tayo ang Supreme Court. Hindi yung overlap, no? Totoo lang naman. Ilang days na lang. 2 weeks na lang. Almost, no? Election na. So, ang isang mabilis na action natin pwede gawin na hindi kailangan ng anything from the Supreme Court yet is kampanahan na lang natin yung within our circle of influence. Yung makuha natin. Kumbinsihin nila, mga botante, na kilala natin, na talagang tingnan nila yung resibo nila. At pag may reklamo sila, hindi yun ang binoto nila, gumawa sila muna ng bago bumoto. Kodigo, yung eksaktong binoto nila. Sino-sino. Kung pwede pa nga, yung number ng buwan, may mga assigned number yung mga kandidato. I-sequence nila yung number. Kasi, kung po pwede, ganun din siguro ang lalabas na resibo. Naka-sequence din yun. So, madaling mag-compare. Di ba? Madaling mag-audit. Imagine natin, kung mag-audit lahat ng botante na expected bumoto, 50 million yan, auditors natin. 50 million. Yung auditor na yun, siyempre hanapin niya na tama. Siya ang pinakamataas ng desire na makita yung tamang boto. Di ba? Siya may-ari ng boto eh. Tapos, presko yung data na yan. Diyan ang umpisan ng proseso ng buong pagboto, pagbilang, pagbayaran, in between doon sa pagboto at saka by-publish, ang daming magic, yung 10 taon na ata na nilalaban na Nelson, ano. So, ito, kaya ako napupokus lumilipat, this is the most effective magagawa natin ng solusyon, I think, from my experience. Okay. Ito na, no? Kung BBPAT, gumawa ka ng mga computations from the expected 50 million voters, kahit 0.1, 1/10 of a person lang ang mag-audit na resibo niya, 50,000 na yung sample natin. 50,000 na. Alam niyo ba kung ano yung RMA ng Comelec? Yun dito sa dadating na eleksyon, 715 lang na BCM. Yun lang. So, compare natin yung 0.1% lang, 50,000 na agad yun. Yun yung national level. Yung barangay level, there are 42,000 barangays. Di ba? Ang average niya, 1,000 voters per barangay. Di ba? So, 1% lang na mag-audit doon, 420,000 na auditors yun. May-ari pa ng boto. Di ba? Okay. And then, at the barangay, at the precinct level, precinct na, bawat presinto, isa lang ang mag-audit, 92,500 agad yan. Kung dalawa, ito on, no? Talagang malaki yan, malaki ang effect sa natin. Pag ganyan nakarami, ang nagre-reklamo, wala din, kung ano mangyayari. Kasi national level yan, ganyan karami ang massive na may expose na reklamo na hindi nagmamahal, binoto ng botante, at saka ano yung laman ng resibo. Kung agad yan, fraud agad yan. Kasi nga, pag i-scan ng BCM yan, pwedeng may daya na rin doon agad. Doon sa Nelson, doon sa software yun, gumagawa ng balota, AMS, pwede dayahin doon. Hindi totoo yung binoto mo, gano'n, pero yun na magiging i-scan, resulta ng scanning ng BTN. So, dapat makita natin talaga yun. With that, tapos, isang possible reklamo, pag in-impose siya ng Supreme Court, reklamo ng Comelec, hahaba yung time ng pagboto, hahaba yung election time. Gumawa lang ako ng simulation, 8 seconds lang ang magiging ang pagtingin ng tao. Kasi sandali lang yan eh. May kodigo ka eh, kung pero sa kodigo ko, 8 seconds ang kwenta ko, no? Ginagamit ko mga standard methods, time measurement yan. Globally accepted yun, yung standard na yun. 8 seconds lang, kung walang diferensya, ibibigat doon sa binoto ng tao, importante. Kung may reklamo at reklamo niya yung 12 senador, lagi natin may diferensya. Lahat, 21 seconds lang. Pag kinompute mo yun, okay, di 50 million na boboto, para dagdagan siguro isa 2 oras lang. So, hindi material yun para maging tama election natin. Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Remy. Can we call Camilo, our friend from social media?
Magandang tanghali po. Thank you, Dr. Mike. Afternoon na, no? Sorry. Regarding yung results ng Tangere survey, it would seem na general ang purpose ng inyong survey. There's no specific group na nag-demand sa inyo, na gawin nyo ito, binayaran kayo, no? Pero what appears sa result ng inyong survey, na ang mga tao ay may duda dito sa mga election system natin ngayon. And probably, the one who can really make use of that is first itong MATA SA BALOTA, no? 2019, to support yung kanilang ang cause na the Comelec needs to explain some more, no? So that the people will not be voting blindly. Second siguro, yung user niyan is the Comelec itself. To guide them na up to this moment, wala pa rin linaw. Ang mga botante may duda, boboto na lang sila.
Voters education.
Voters education, no? So, yun siguro ang magiging purpose ng results ng Tangere, no? Tangere. Now, regarding itong Tangere, no? No, Tangere, yeah. Itong result naman ng update ni President Nelson Celis, ano? Kasi last week I was proposing that may prayer tayo, no, doon sa ating mandamos na to seek for a temporary restraining order if these big matters are not resolved by the Supreme Court, no? Pero ewan ko, dahil sabi naman ni President Major Magdamo, mahal daw yung restraining order, no? So, if what is about to happen is another case of moot and academic, no? Lalagpas yung panahon na hindi na-actionan ng Comelec, yung inyong mga pinayang na case. And as a result of that, the Filipino people will pay more than 6 billion taxes for this election exercise, which is futile. So ano naman ang remaining measure na magagawa natin to hold Comelec to pay something worth 6 billion plus for something not legal. Meron pa ba tayong pwedeng gawin to hold this? Malaking pera ito eh. More than 6 billion itong Smartmatic natin. Thank you po.
Actually, kung tutusin, magkano 2008, magkano yun? Malaki na yung ginastos natin sa election. No? Maaabot na yung computation namin doon sa 2016. Maabot na naman 50 billion yan eh. Most likely, roughly 25 billion. Since Smartmatic was taken as a vendor for automating our election system. Now, with regard to the question, ano ba yung mangyayari na magiging moot na academic na yan? Alam niyo po, ano yan eh. Matagal na namin sinasabi yan, yung automated election system. Nag-file na po kami ng, ng complaints sa Ombudsman noong 2010. Wala akong nangyari dyan hanggang ngayon. No? Noong 2013, nag-file din po kami ng kaso, complaint doon sa Ombudsman. Hindi lang po kami sa automated election system, marami po eh. So, kami,
ina-expect namin na ganun din ang mangyayari eh. Buti na lang, nung nag-file si Senator Dick Gordon sa BB-PAT, sa voters receipt, na-actionan kagad yung Although, that was weeks before the elections then in 2016. Sinasabi rin namin noon na nag-complain na rin kami sa ombudsman na hindi nag-implement si Comelec ng digital signatures, ng BB-PAT, and so many technical provisions in the law na hindi nila kinukumpay. 2013, gano'n din. Pagdating ng 2016, pagod na ho kami. Hindi na kami magpapile sa ombudsman. Dahil hindi naman inuupuan lang dun sa sa mesa nila eh. At least yung petitions doon sa Supreme Court na actionan yun sa BB-FAT. Itong sinasabi namin, final namin petition from Mandamos nung nakaraang linggo na dapat ipatupad ng Commission on Election yung batas, no? Lalo-lalo sinabi ni Ernie De Rosario kanina, dating IT Director, na dating IT Director ng Comelec yan. Ipatupad natin na maayos yung BB-PAT. Nakita natin yung mga experiences natin dyan sa overseas absentee voting. Mali yung naka-reflect dun sa resibo, dun sa talagang balota. So, maraming irregularities na ganyan. Pwede lang mangyari kung pwedeng gawin ng Supreme Court talaga dito is talagang i-push ng Commission on Elections to comply with it.
Yes, tama po yan. Pero alam mo, ang kasabihan daw, habang yung tao huminga, habang yung tao ay buhay, may pag-asa. So we are pinning our hope to the integrity and the righteousness of the leadership of our judicial branch of government, the Supreme Court headed by Chief Justice Salon, the rest of the justices there, and alam natin, and we are of the impression and we hope na sa mga actions nila sa petitions natin mapatunayan nito they're there at saka they will be very objective and be very swift in their action kasi may element of time po yung petition natin. Yung sinasabing mo na pandemic, kung hindi na action ng Supreme Court before the election, may konting problema dyan. Okay? We are also hopeful and we also believe in the heart of the leadership of the Senate. As a matter of fact, si Tito Soto, Senator Soto, was the one who divulged or exposed all this thing in way back a year ago. That's why my joint Congressional Oversight Committee was created to investigate on this. And ngayon lang, report si Dr. Nelson Celis on the update na talagang ang resulta sa latest na meeting ng CWT ng JCO is talagang very clear na may early transmission as what Senate President Tito Soto was saying a year ago in his privilege speech. No? Now, the third branch of government, siyempre, the executive. And we're very hopeful that this president, kasi this president, we perceive him to be very nationalistic and patriotic. And siyempre, he will play a big role in this particular advocacy of ours of having clean and honest election. The president loves this country, and we believe that the president, Digong, is willing to die for this country. So again, we're pinning our hopes sa mga leaders ng mga different branches of government. And the last bastion of what do you call this, solutions that we would like to go to after all these processes is, of course, the president. At the end of the day, we will ask the president MATA SA BALOTA will ask the President to be our champion, to champion the cause of the Filipino in this particular issue on elections. So, sa tingin ko, that's very clear. What we're doing right now is we are respecting the processes of the law. This is a country of laws and processes. Hindi tayo pwedeng sumigaw lang dyan sa media, tsaka dinaya ako, ganyan. These are hearsays. What's nice about it, it is in 2018, yung paulit-ulit na i-explain, there was this break, no? Na forensic po yung mga SD card, yung sinasabi natin na parang black box, no? Ang aeroplano, and there's a lot of revelation there sa nangyayari na past elections. So, ang pinaka-importante lang is for us, the Filipino people, to be patriotic, to be nationalistic. Ang inaulit-ulit na natin changes in the leadership of government starts with elections. Kung yung mga leaders natin nanalo dahil pinili nila yung election, dinaya nila. At saka kung ano ng mga kalokohan na nangyari para manalo sila. Pag nakaupo yan, gusto mag-ROI yan, return of investment. Malaki yung ginastos nila. So, babawiin nila yan. So, paano nila babawiin? Eh di magnanakaw sila sa pamanabayan. Pag nagnakaw ito lahat sila sabay-sabay, ubos ang pera ng bayan. Okay? Pag wala ng pera ang gobyerno natin, anong gagawin ng gobyerno natin? They will impose new taxes, pangungutang, and all these things. So who will suffer the effects of all these things? Ang common, lahat tayo. A righteous government, no? Siguro, umpisahan natin sa proseso of electing new officials of our government. That's why MATA SA BALOTA is here to more or less advocate for all these things. At the end of the day, hindi po tayo pwedeng pumunta sa kalye at saka sumigaw ng revolusyon. We are a country of laws and all these things. We have to respect the due process of law. That is what we're doing right now. That's why nandun tayo sa Supreme Court, nandun tayo sa Jacob and all these things. At the end of the day, hindi talagang maiwasan that MATA SA BALOTA and all its rainbow coalition members will be going to the President. At saka, kung ano man ang nakita natin sa mga problema natin, siyempre, isusumbong natin sa tatay natin. Eh, sinong tatay natin? Di Presidente ng Pilipinas, di ba? I think that's the processes that we would like to undertake right now. So, again, hindi po tayo nawawalan ng pag-asa. Habang buhay tayo, habang we're doing this forum, that's why we're doing all these things, all these activities, no? We have a new MATA. By means of scientific surveys, studies, and the technology. MATA SA BALOTA basically is camera ng cellphone mo, mata natin, mata ng technology. Now we have a new friend, yung mga surveyors dito. Na sila mismo, at this point in time, they're trying to do something to really understand the sentiments of our people. So I think we're doing good, basically. We're doing good, basically. Hindi naman lahat kaya natin isolve. Ang importante is this. It's better to light a candle than curse the darkness, because evil prevails when good men do nothing. So, MATA SA BALOTA and our broad coalition, we're doing something despite all the odds, no? Against all the odds, no? We're trying to do something. So that is why we're so hopeful, and we're so hopeful again that this nation, pag naayos natin mga problema natin, this nation, the Philippines, will once again will be great again, di ba?
Yes.
So I think that's the answer. No?
Marcos
So,
yun. Marcos.
yes, Mr. President of the National Press Club, Lakay, please.
Well, Doc Mike, congratulations sa inyo mga ginagawa. No? Kung hindi dahil sa inyo, hindi nabubuksan ang mata ng publiko dito sa mga issues na ito. Kaya yung ginagawa nila Mark, congratulations.
Martin, sir.
Martin, congratulations.
Tama to.
Kung puro hugot ang pinag-uusapan natin ang dami ko yung hugot sa Comelec Una-una, yung naalala nyo yung biometric ID. Dumating sa akin yung biometric ID, 10 years. 10 taon. Nakalagay doon. Kung gusto mo mag-update tungkol sa status ng iyong ID, click lang. Online, di ba? Click, online. O nakalagay doon, status finished in transit. Nakalagay doon. Pero mo, from Quezon City to Makati, in transit, 10 taon bago dumating yung aking biometric ID. Doon pa lang, di ba? Nakakatawa nun. Nung pinost ko sa Facebook, siguro may 1,000 kagad ang nag-post sa nasumagot. O, buti ka pa nga, dumating na. Kami wala pa. So, yun ang Comelec. Inisip ko naman, siguro, dapat na murahin din ng presidente ang Comelec. Oy, magkayos kayo. Di ba? Kasi, ilang beses natin napatunayan na nagmumura ang presidente. May aksyon. Binura ang Amerika. Isinuli yung ating Bandangiga Bears. Minura ang Canada. Aba, kukunin na yung ating mga basura na kanilang itinapon sa atin 6 years ago. Di ba? So, aksyon ng ating presidente. Sabi ko, baka this time dapat murahin ng presidente ang Comelec at magkayos kayo sa mga ginagawa ninyo. Di ba? I was expecting na itong kanyang talaga ng chairman ng Comelec, si Chairman Abbas, maging aktibo mukhang na Hindi ka namin nakakausap chairman ng Comelec Sa lahat ng naging chairman ng Comelec, kami na mga morning anchor sa radyo, hindi ko ba nakakausap yan? Nangako si Xavier na nakaraan, dadaling ko sa iyo sa forum, yung aming chairman. Kasi, hindi naman nakikita, hindi naman napapakinggan yung chairman.
Ang sinasabi mo, Lakay, ang presidente ng National Press Club, hindi nakakausap yung chairman ng Comelec.
Yes, At isa pang hugot, Doc Mike, speaking of the Smartmatic, nag-file kami ng party list, di ba, noong 2010. 2010, di ba? Alyansa ng Media at Showbiz, party list. Okay? The night before the elections, yung aking kumpare na matagal na, inilabas yung kanyang pinakalumang alak. Sabi sa akin, pare, bukas congressman ka na. Inom tayo. So, nag-inuman na kami. So, the day of the elections, bumoto ako. Pagkatapos, bandang alas 5 ng hapon, umupo na kami. Inom na naman! Kasi, minumonitor namin yung early results, early returns. Okay. Early returns. Alam niyo, Doc Mike at Martin. The next day, hanggang sa susunod ng mga araw, minumonitor natin yung boto namin. Alam mo, di isa. Walang nagdagdag, di isa. Walang nagdagdag na boto. At na-trace ko na mismong sa aking bayan, Pamilong Sur, ni isang boto wala.
Yung tatay at saka nanay mo, mga kapatid mo.
Hindi ka binoto, hindi ka binoto. So, na-trace ko na yung unang 20 na unang malakas-lakas ang botohan or results during the first election, first days, yun lang ang nadadagdagan. First 20. Wala na iba. Kami, yun ang karanasan namin kaya kung hugot at pinag-usapan, yan din ang hugot ko sa Smartmatic. Si Mel. Buti si Mel, ang hinahanap yung boto niya from Siam na probinsya, di ba? Ako, mismong boto ko sa sarili kong bayan, hindi ko makita Di ba?
Anong pangalan, by the way, ng party list mo?
Alyansa ng Media at Showbiz, AMS.
That's in 2016.
2010.
2010?
Oo.
Kayo.
2010. So, yun ang karanasan natin sa Smartmatic. So, again, pabalik-balik yung kanta na, sino ba kanta nito? Gary Valenciano. Di ba? Di na tayo natuto. Di na natuto. Panlima na, eleksyon. Paulit-ulit. Hindi na tayo natuto. Pero, okay lang naman, Doc Mike, sinasabi mo, habang buhay tayo,
may pag-asa. Sana nga. Wish ko lang. Yun lang yan. Wish ko lang. Wish lang natin. Sana nga. Nakakatuwa yung resulta ng survey nila.
Study.
Na Lito, Pinoy, hindi alam kung ano kanyang gagawin. Hindi nga siya okay sa Smartmatic, pero tuloy pa rin na sumasali sa butuhan. Parang bahala si Batman kung mabiro o hindi. Di ba? Nakakalungkot. Anyway, yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakay, the President of the National Press Club, Lakay Rolly Gonzalo. Can we ask a reaction from Dr. Nelson?
Yes, Doc.
Yung comment ko doon kay sinabi nila kay Chairman Abbas. Doon sa mga Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, ano nun, di namin nakita.
Kayo rin? Ang grabe.
Doon sa mga Senate hearing. Tapos, inupuan din yung batas. Hindi rin niya, wala rin siyang action sa implementing rules and regulations. Kasi paglabas nga ni Bautista, nagtago na doon sa states. Sabi namin, bigyan niyo naman ng pansin yung implementing rules and regulations dahil 20 years na nakapending. Ngayon, 22 years na. So, medyo tama yung sinabi nila kayo. Medyo kailangan magbura si
Presidente, si Mayor.
Burahin. Effective yun
Pahabol lang, Doc. Pahabol.
Yes, Jòey.
At Doc, may relasyon ba po yung Smart at saka Smartmatic?
Wala po.
Wala po.
Smartmatic pangalan mo na.
Smart kayo pangilinan niya.
Venezuelan company itong Smartmatic, foreign company.
Pero noong 2013, as early as 2013, sinasabi na po ng Automated Election System Watch na bumalik na po tayo sa mano-mano.
Manual.
Kasi hindi naman mo ginagawa ng Comelec yung dapat ipatupad na nanggaling doon sa batas, base doon sa batas. So, kasama pa ho namin si Secretary Harry Roque doon sa grupo namin Siya pa nga yung legal counsel namin sa ISWAT. So, medyo talagang walang ears really to listen doon sa sinasabi namin. So, sa 2022, gusto namin, mano-mano doon sa presinto. And then,
Transmission.
Transmitted sa Municipal Board of Canvassing. Electronic, computerized canvassing up to the National Board of Canvassing. Hybrid. Yan ang tinatawag na hybrid. Pero ang tawag naman namin yan is amended draft. Composite technology. Or, in short, hybrid. Halo-halo. Mano-mano ka doon sa presinto, and then you have electronic transmission and computerized consolidation and canvassing.
Well, jokingly, sinasabi ni Lakay na mumurahin ni Presidente, baka may action, no? Seriously, no? Having said that, no? Pwede kaya isama sa question ng isang study or survey about aspiration of the Filipino, what the President can do in his perception. Is it a valid question sa isang survey? Ano sa tingin ninyo kung magsumbong tayo ni Presidente? Yung joke ni Presidente ng National Press Club na pagalitan itong mga tao ito para maayos yung Is it a possible question in future surveys sa tingin mo ba yan, Marlene?
Pwede naman po. Papagawa po tayo ng program kay Miss Marlene para at least hindi masyadong leading yung mga questions natin. But we can do that naman.
Na magiging neutral siya so that total, what you are doing right now is trying to study the heart and sentiments of the Filipino voter, basically. So, yun yung nakikita natin. No? So, anyway, masyadong na-overtime na tayo. Napakaganda ng discussions natin. Ulitin ko lang, UFCC will file a motion for intervention sa Supreme Court together with Labor Party under President Mel Chavez will also do an intervention motion sa Supreme Court to support last week's petition for matapos sa Supreme Court ng mga grupo, various group, no, to compel Comelec and Smartmatic to when you implement fully the automated election system. No? So with that, maraming salamat sa mga kaibigan natin. Sa susunod na Tuesday, we will again be here, MATA SA BALOTA 2019 Media Forum, 9 o'clock, Roma Salon. Nandito ulit tayo, mag-usap-usap ulit tayo, hosted by Senator Jòey, Lina, and hopefully, we can invite again Tangere, kung meron kayo mga updates, no, sa mga ginagawa ninyong study, survey research on this midterm election in 2019. Maraming salamat sa lahat. Maraming salamat. Sir Mike, thank you po.
Thank you.